Hey, gun people! I'm going to talk about a pretty good case I just saw on American Justice. I'll put a link to the case. I couldn't find it when I looked for American Justice on YouTube, but they got some videos. I'm sure it's on there. I just couldn't find it. But I've got another link to the article where the Kansas appealed court spanked a jury. There's my little baton, my broken shovel handle. I sanded it down. I'll show you the final project on how to make a baton. Hey, there goes Moki. Moki, what are you doing? You're on YouTube. He's like, dude, I'm hunting. Don't bother me. All right, so let's talk about a jury gets spanked. Is it good or bad? And was the court right or wrong? So here's what happened here, and this is a pretty interesting case. I kind of like this case because I was shocked. I was like, are you kidding me? So juries don't get spanked too often, and when you do spank them, it really doesn't matter. They're not charged with anything. The jury is the last line of defense for the people to hold the power. You have to understand that juries can hold government accountable. If juries across the country just said, you know what, you guys are crooked, we are voting not guilty, every case you put in front of us, we're going not guilty, we would really seriously send a message and affect crooked prosecutors, the crooked system, BS arrests by cops, too much government intrusion. If the system cannot get convictions, they're going to get tired of arresting people, letting them go, getting sued, and spending money in all these other ways. So, I mean, the people, if there's one thing I believe the people still have the power, it's the jury system. But it's kind of rigged because I talk about it when they do jury selection. They ask you questions to disqualify you. They stack the deck. They want people who's going to rule for them, and they kick off the people that they can't trust, depend to be a team player, blah, blah, blah. So in this case, I mean, it's kind of a sad case for the guy that was involved. A doctor in Kansas, a woman's dying, 78 years old, she's going to die. She got cancer, breast, it went to her liver, spine, lungs. I mean, she was in bad shape, she was in a lot of pain. So the family said, can you give her some of the pain? He gave her something for the pain. And he was honest with the people and told his son, look, your mom's going to die. And she's in a lot of pain. But if you want me to give her more, you need to realize that if I give her more pain, it could speed up her death and, decrease her amount of time that she's alive. So he gives her some more stuff, and he's about to give her more medicine, and the son felt upset about it and said, hey, I don't want you doing this. So what happens is the son stops him from giving the shot, and he makes a complaint to the administrator of the hospital. Well, the mom dies 3 days later, in pain, moved to another hospital, whatever. The facts are, it's all spelled out in the video. So after this happens, there's another case of another old guy that's got diabetes, heart failure, he's got a pacemaker, but they bring him in, they give him some stuff. Well, the doctor kind of says, now he doesn't know this guy's complained on him, so he's conducting business as usual. So the other guy's there, and they had to start a respirator, put a tube down, and he gave him some muscle relaxer because he was having some convulsions, might have had a stroke. Anyway, he kind of says, I'm ready to call it and declare the guy dead. Well, the hospital administrator, who knows that he had this complaint on this other guy saying, hey, I thought he was going to kill my mom and over-medicate her, I don't trust him. Now the administrator is kind of like questioning him, and the doctor says, look, I'm going to call this, and the administrator goes, you know what? I'm going to call in a second opinion. There's only one doctor in the whole city, so that's another problem. So he calls in the retired doctor, the doctor that retired, to get a second opinion. Now, obviously, that's going to make the doctor be like, what the hell, man? I'm about to pronounce the guy dead, and you're calling? Well, the doctor, and this is the one thing that I have a problem with, the doctor gives the patient another muscle relaxer after he's already said the guy's dead, and he knows another doctor's coming in, he gives him another shot of muscle relaxer. Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on that. But I'll get to that in a minute. So, what they do is the town gets together in this small town, small doctor, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, attorney general, some freaking attorney at the state who wants to get his name in a paper, some prosecutor, they prosecute the doctor for 2 counts of murder, 1 attempted murder, and then they charge him with killing the other guy. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, this didn't really happen. So the guy goes to, and this is after all the stuff, the guy moves out of town and says, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else. There's too much negative. Everybody's talking. I've got a bad name. He moves to another town to start a practice. And this stupid attorney, like prosecutors do when they get a big profile case, they can make a name for themselves. This arrogant piece of shit's on TV coming, well, I prosecuted him, and I got a conviction, and the jury agreed with me, and I was just like, you are a piece of shit. So, they convict this doctor of attempted murder, they bring him to trial, and the jury convicts. I can't believe the jury convicted. They had all kind of, and I forgot to say, the second doctor they called in, the retired doctor, he says, I agree with the doctor. I think he did the right thing. So, the only person that disagreed with him was the son of a dying mom who was trying to protect his mom, emotional, not thinking, and an administrator who was worried about getting sued because he got a complaint. So, because they disagreed, and some attorney wanted his name in the paper, they charged this guy and got a conviction and sent him to prison. I was like, you gotta be, what I couldn't believe it. So, he goes to prison, luckily got a low sentence, and he was paroled in 6 months. I think he's got 5 to 10 years, and he was paroled in 6 months. Which is a good thing, but still, 6 months in prison, your freedom. He lost his wife left him with his little girl. I mean, yeah, it just destroys your life. He lost his license. Well, the doctors got together and go, hey, and this is going to tie into cop work, by the way, because it's a channel about how a cop thinks. So the doctors, big high-priced doctors, start giving him money saying, hey, this is bad for business. If they start prosecuting us for murder when we're trying to save somebody's life and we don't know what's going to happen, every doctor from now on is going to be about, man, am I going to end up in prison by helping this patient? And if I'm dealing with terminally ill patients and they're going to die anyway and they end up dying while they're in my care, am I going to go to prison? So they're worried about a bad precedent for them. President said, saying, hey, we've done this before, we'll do it again. So they get together, pay all this money, an attorney appeals it to the Kansas Supreme Court, or the appeals court, not Supreme, the appeals court. The appeals court, which is, man, I don't ever remember this happening, ever. The appeals court said, not only are we throwing out his conviction, we're saying the jury totally disregarded everything, and we're ordering the prosecution that this is an acquittal and you cannot recharge him. Because they knew that if they overturned it and sent it back, you got some overzealous prosecutor that wants his name in the paper, is like, you know what, they can overturn it, I'll recharge his ass. So the appeals court, good, they're looking ahead. I don't want to give lawyers props too much, but these guys were on it and said, you know what, if we just turn this back, this freaking prosecutor is going to prosecute him again. So we need to fix that. You know what, we're going to rule this. Not only are we overturning the jury, we're saying we're acquitting him of the crime. There's no way enough evidence, and you cannot recharge him. I was watching, I'm like, yeah, you go Kansas Supreme Court, because that is the checks and balances that we need in power and government. So, he gets his license back, he could practice, he lost his wife, did 6 months. The Kansas Senate, I think, gave him $200 grand for the time he spent in prison, which is really nothing. I mean, people are like, oh, that's a lot of money. Yeah. He's got to try and get his name back, and once you get your name like that, it's hard to get it back. When the government smears you, it's very hard to overturn people. So, was it good or bad that the jury convicted him? They had the evidence. It was their choice. They made a decision, and they convicted him. They interviewed a couple juries, if you watch the episode, and the jury says, you know what, I think he should have been in prison. I think the appeals court screwed up. How dare they question us? I was like, man, you need to be questioned. Damn woman was so angry at this guy, and like, I didn't like his bedside manner, and I thought he was rude. I'm like, you're talking about a man's life, and you want to send him to prison because you didn't like his attitude? So, the court did the right thing here. The jury, they screwed up, and again, I'm always reluctant to blame juries because juries only get what they're allowed to see. And between the prosecution and the defense, trying to keep shit out and trying to hide shit, and the law is suppressing this and saying, oh, this isn't relevant, and you can't mention this, and we don't want this, and you got this wrong, so we're hiding the confession, and we're hiding the admission, and we're hiding. The jury only gets information, so the jury does not make these really bad decisions sometimes of their own fault. In this case, I think they did. I think it was a small town and they wanted to convict him. They didn't like him, so they convicted him. Bad thing. You don't send a guy to jail. I mean, when in doubt, vote not guilty. I mean, jury nullification is a great thing and it sends a great message. You got a bad prosecutor, stop convicting. Everybody just say, you know what, we're not giving him any convictions. We'll put his ass out of business. You ain't going to go to court if you know all the jurors are voting not guilty. Go ahead, waste your time, waste all this money, keep us here. I'm voting not guilty. If the whole community got together and did that, that's how you get change. So where this ties into cop work is, now, I think in Kansas, before it can go to a prosecutor, there was some rule, I didn't really hear it. I think somebody called, I was on the phone, so I kind of missed this part. But they made some rule, I think, before the prosecutor can get it, it has to go through a board of doctors. And they have to do it. So there's this issue and concern about doctors get to review doctors. And they're going to protect each other. And they're in a club. And they're in the same group. And they're in the same gang. Like politicians protect politicians. And government protects government. And cops protect cops. And firemen protect firemen. And school teachers protect school teachers. There's always going to be this bubble of us against them, no matter what you make it, and that's why you need this checks and balances. I think it's good that doctors with experience and understanding medicine and the effects, and if a few doctors agree with what a guy did, you have to kind of take that with a pretty heavy weight, versus when you have laymen saying, it don't make sense to me, I don't like it. Well, you don't have the education, experience of dealing with terminally ill, etc. Same way with police work. People don't like the idea that cops get to judge cops. I don't like it either, because it's easy for the brotherhood, the nothing bump, we're all on the same team, we all wear the brother blue, we bleed blue, we're all in the brotherhood of the cops. It takes away our objectivity sometimes to say, you know what, this is wrong. Plus, we have to work with these people. We know that maybe they're going to be evaluating us sometimes, so maybe we're not so judgmental. Maybe we don't want to say the truth because we might have to hear the truth. And so with cops, there's a pro and con to having cops do it. You have to kind of judge things from the cops' training and experience. When a doctor does something, you kind of got to judge things from their training, experience, and practice that they do. When a fireman does something, you kind of got to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though it's fireman. And when lawyers do shit, you just automatically know it's weasel and no good, just like politicians, because they're the same thing. So they don't get any breaks. As far as I'm concerned, those guys got all the power, they got all the connections, they don't get any breaks. When in doubt, they're freaking wrong, period. And cops aren't too far behind them. And doctors may not be too far behind them, but you have this balancing scale. And again, I piss off so many people on my videos, and I mean, I really appreciate all the comments I get about when I do a new video. I read all the comments, and I get good questions, and I get good comments, and I get good observations that I missed. Or that's like, oh yeah, that's a great point, I should have brought that up. So if you don't like the video, read all the comments, come back in a month or so and read all the comments, because a lot of people, I've got some pretty savvy viewers that come up and really spark some good conversations. And I got the idiots that, oh, you're a racist, oh, you're a pig, you're a fascist, you're a boo. You got those, but it's really, I just want people to understand this balance, and to me that's what critical thinking is. That's what not this mush-brained liberal, liberals just get these programmed messages, white man bad, black man victim, women victim, white man bad, government good, free stuff good. So liberals get all this victim and they can't think, articulate, or justify the consequences and the fallouts of it. They just repeat their stupid mantras, even though it's a total failure everywhere they run, take over, and you follow their policies. It's a total failure, but you can't explain that to a liberal. That's why I just don't have a whole lot of time for them, because most of them don't think. I'm not saying all of them. There's some liberals on here that can make some articulate comments and actually bring up some good points to the other side, and that's good. But critical thinking, especially in in specific fields that is very technical, you need to be able to evaluate things. And that's, I think, why our country is in such a bad state right now, is because we have voters that cannot critically think. They don't question things. They don't realize there's big problems with big issues that are really hard to solve, And then when somebody gives you some easy, quick fix, government, bring in, expand this program, we'll save you, raise taxes, give us more money, and the world will be all pink flowered and beautiful. It just doesn't work. So this show was just, I was like, Jesus Christ, man, the courts got it right, the jury, they kind of blew it, but I don't know everything they got, but this is a great case. And if you want to watch it, it's Amer Just, and I'll put the link in here for the doctor's name. I think it starts with an N, I can't remember. Man, just a really great lesson in what I think is critical thinking and having an educated audience be judging. A jury of your peers. You know, it's kind of like back in slavery when a black guy had an all-white jury. That's probably not a jury of his peers. And a white guy in Detroit having an all-black jury isn't a jury of his peers. And a woman having an all-male jury isn't a jury of his peers. Now, I'm not into this sex, color, and bullshit, you know, but, you know, if a gay guy's on trial, I don't think we ought to have to go out and find a whole jury of gay people in order to judge him. So there has to be some boundaries, but you can't have a bunch of people that are all married and thinks gay people are really bad and they hate them just because they're gay on a jury of a gay guy. It's not fair. It's not reasonable. And to me, that's critical thinking, questioning things. And to me, that's what college should be about. It should teach you how to ask questions, how to question authority, theories, rules. You have to question this for the greater good. You know, there's a theory in life that you always leave a place a little bit better than you found it. And if everybody did that, the world would be a much better place. Me doing these videos, I'm kind of giving back some of my experience, hopefully kind of shedding the other side that, you know, nobody can say. Cops can't say this when we're working. I couldn't say all this if I was working as a cop. Man, I'd be freaking written up on the firing, days on the beach. You're not a team player. We got to get rid of this guy. He's giving out our secrets. We can't trust him. You know, I mean, you have to kind of play the game when you're in a game. So I'm trying to give back and give people that understanding. But I hope this channel makes you think. And this case to me was a perfect example of like, wow. How could a jury convict? I couldn't believe that they even got one person to convict. They convinced all 12 of them. I was like, are you kidding me? And there was one guy that went to the jury with, why are they charging him? Why are we wasting time? This guy's a doctor. If he says that, I don't even know why we're doing it. And he ended up all guilty. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, you know, and again, I don't know what he was told and what was held back, but really great story. Hopefully I got some lessons out of it, and hopefully I shared a little bit of that. And Moki up there, you know, he was, you know, I wouldn't want Moki being charged for mousy murder and having a jury of mice sitting on him. That just wouldn't be fair for poor little Moki. Moki, you're a good kitty. All right, we'll end that there.